Hi, I'm Sten Vesterli, and this is Beneficial Intelligence, a new weekly podcast with stories and pragmatic information for CIOs and other IT leaders. This week, learning from failure. This week, the Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft took to the skies again, after a lot of fixes. There were a couple of fatal crashes back in 2018 and 2019 with these new aircraft. I'm telling the whole story of what happened in my keynote presentation, Everything That's Wrong with IT. But the core of it was that there was a new piece of software that was supposed to help the pilots, but it was fed data from only one sensor. So when that sensor malfunctioned, the software overpowered the pilots and nosedived the planes into the ground. In aviation, accidents like this give rise to careful investigation. We look at the cause of the accident and we look at the process that led to the accident. In this case, there was a piece of defective software that took defective garbage input and produced an undesirable outcome. But the investigation didn't just focus on the specific software. The investigation looked at the process that had led to this defective software being approved. There were some problems in that process. And looking at the process, then investigators went back and looked at other changes that had been approved using this defective process. That led to the identification of a couple of other changes that shouldn't really have been approved. And these changes were again improved. So the 737 MAX 8 that started flying again on the first test flights this week has been improved both in the area that actually caused the crashes and in several other areas that were discovered because there was a proper root cause analysis made. What was the underlying reason? In IT, we don't do that. We do have root cause analysis as a keyword in ITIL processes. We do have retrospectives at the end of sprints. But what happens in real life is no change. Unfortunately, in IT, we are still figuratively flying our projects into the ground with the same frequency we did 20 years ago. As an IT leader, it is your responsibility to improve the processes in your organization. These processes don't improve by themselves. You need to shine your attention on them. As we discussed a couple of weeks ago, leadership attention changes behavior. And you don't need to go and micromanage your team to ensure that the process is improved. All you need to do is to ask for the incident reports. You should get a copy of every priority one incident, every downtime incident. And you don't need to look at the technical details. You have competent people who can handle that. What you should look for is what is being done to ensure that this specific problem, doesn't happen again. You need to look at the retrospectives. Just get a bullet point list of what was discussed at the end of the sprint and look for improvements. If there are no improvements, if there's something that didn't go well, but there are no improvements, ask your team, what can you do to make sure this doesn't happen again? you need to ask for the information, ask for improvements from your team, because then your organization will start learning from failure. I'll be taking the next couple of weeks off, but Beneficial Intelligence will be back in August. See you then. Thank you for watching Beneficial Intelligence, a weekly podcast with stories and pragmatic information for CIOs and other IT leaders. If you like this content, please spread the word. If you have comments, please get in touch. See you next week.